Well, one of the key questions in Karnataka now is the availability of vaccines over there. It's a large state. The COVID numbers have been very, very high. But vaccine availability, like elsewhere, has been a problem. My colleague Maya Sharma spoke to Dr. Vishal Rao, member of the Karnataka COVID Task Force, on the latest situation, on any updates on vaccine supply and plans, if any, to import vaccines.
We have seen numbers coming down. We talked earlier of 50,000 cases in the state every day, almost 30,000 cases in Bengaluru in a 24-hour span. But numbers are down now. Would you say this is the lockdown effect, lower testing, or do you think the worst of the second wave has passed for the state?
I think the most important thing that we need to understand here is lockdown has definitely had a very significant impact. From 50,000 cases every day to today we are at about 20,000 odd cases. But what is still concerning is that the positivity rate still sticks at around 20% and the mortality has now jumped up to about 2% with about 600 odd deaths yesterday. Now these kind of numbers give us on one side to understand that yes, the lockdown has had a very significant impact to reduce these numbers, but that is not reassuring to say that the moment the lockdown is open, we will continue to have these low numbers, because I think one thing more as a common sense that we need to understand is that when these waves flatten, it is not that the virus is taking rest. It's a socio-economic virus, and the more we improve interactions without safety, we are going to explode and expand the spread of this virus. So what I see is definitely this is an impact of lockdown, but we need to, I think, at a much larger individual level take up responsibility by which we can curtail the spread of this virus.
Yes, absolutely. And also we're seeing that the numbers, the new cases are coming more from the districts now outside Bengaluru. While Bengaluru was earlier really the bulk of the cases, it's now in the districts. What does this mean really for COVID management in the state?
It's going to be an uphill task as we move towards the districts, because the overall healthcare systems get overburdened. The scale of treatments becomes much more narrower. And this I think is overall concerning, and even oxygen management. See, in cities we have the privilege that oxygen comes to the doorsteps of hospitals, whereas in villages, in districts, the hospitals have to carry their cylinders to refill them. So it's a different dynamics of healthcare that we are dealing with, and as we go towards Gram Panchayats, villages, it becomes much more tedious. So it's a very concerning thing, and that's why I think public health experts and virologists are, I think, repeatedly trying to enhance the surveillance in villages to ensure that we are able to be much more better prepared in villages. So even at Karnataka, the Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences has taken a very important step where our Vice Chancellor has discussed as a part of the committee to look at how do we strengthen taluks, how do we strengthen villages, how do we ensure that a larger awareness is there in terms of responsibility. At the same time we ramp up testing. So I think this is the time and the need of the hour for us to ramp up the preparations for villages.
Really attention needs to be paid to the rural areas. But coming back to Bengaluru, with the number of new cases down, we of course have seen on social media and elsewhere families desperately looking for hospital beds, looking for oxygen. Has that situation improved? What is the situation in the city right now when it comes to the health infrastructure coping?
So currently, definitely because of the lockdown, there has been a definite decrease in the number of emergency oxygen requirements and the panic. And logically that's because the virus has stopped moving, because we have stopped moving. I think what one needs to understand is whenever we set up hospitals in a community or society, it is not for the full population, it is for a small subset of population. Suddenly when a particular requirement of a society expands towards the entire society needing the healthcare, it naturally will fall short of it. Now if you look at Karnataka numbers, we may have about 1,20,000 beds, of which at least half are oxygenated. Considering that we are having an everyday number of about 50,000, you see 8,500 of them at least, that is 17%, will require oxygen. Now at that juncture, which healthcare system will be able to take the burden? If you take Karnataka, within 2 weeks we would have had 1,20,000 odd cases who will just need oxygen. which will be half of what our capacity would be. So I think generally as a rule, healthcare systems will not be able to accommodate a sudden rise in these kind of numbers with emergency oxygen requirements or healthcare. And the other bigger concern is trained manpower. I'm not just talking manpower, but trained manpower. Expertise with manpower is very, very crucial at this juncture, and that is also going to be a big crunch as we look at these numbers explode.
Yeah, the reality, of course, that no health system really built for this kind of numbers. New challenges all the time, and one of those challenges, mucormycosis. What is the situation in Karnataka in terms of the infection, in terms of the medicine availability?
We are seeing the numbers rise. I think in Karnataka currently it must be reaching about 700 odd numbers, the mucor cases. If you look at all the hospitals, private and government hospitals put together who are treating it, which is a concern. It's looking like it's an epidemic within a pandemic at this juncture. Now a lot of states have already gone ahead to call it as an epidemic, and at this juncture every measure is being taken. I'm actually just coming back from a meeting which was chaired by our Honorable Deputy Chief Minister to actually take stock of the situation in terms of three important aspects. One is trying to understand where is this actually happening from, the source of this infection. Second is related to early detection, and third is related to treatment. So I think under these broad headings, the committee is going to create much clear strategies for the state, giving directions on how are we going to plug all the three, and all the three are going to be vitally important. Now at this juncture, while we don't have to scare people about mucor and black fungus, we also need to create awareness to ensure. What we have seen in our setups is 5 things that are important and relevant to mucor or black fungus. Number 1 is they've all been COVID positive. Number 2, at some point, lot of them have been given steroids. Majority of them have been given steroids. The third is all of them had high sugars. Majority of them have had high sugars. The fourth is about 30 to 40% of them had given oxygen in some point. And lastly, and I think the most important one is none of them have been vaccinated. So what we are actually talking to experts globally, virologists and epidemiologists, has it been that the new mutant variant is having a special affinity for the pancreas? Is it having a special affinity towards inducing diabetes? And what's the connection between the new variants and between the new mucor? And that's something that I think experts are delving into. Genetic experts, pathologists, microbiologists are all working towards this to kind of understand the connect between the three.
Now the younger age group, the 18 to 44 age group, is still struggling to get vaccinated here in Karnataka with the shortage of vaccines. How serious is this, and what is the way ahead?
So I think the current situation seems to be a concerning one, because as the population is demanding across for a vaccine, there seems to be a colossal shortage of it, and naturally at this juncture I think the government is making every single effort possible to ensure that the population demand is addressed. We've also been looking at understanding that there are about 22 companies across the world that have completed their trials in vaccine, of which 14 of them are I think currently in the market or more. There are the WHO's SRAs, or the stringent regulatory authorities, and I think one of the options is to open up all these global vaccine providers to come into India and help at this juncture, because otherwise it's going to be a long haul. And what we look at is, until looking at the current way that the virus is mutating and new variants are coming up, from what experts are talking and we are getting reports, we need to ensure that the population is vaccinated at the earliest before these new mutants learn to escape the vaccine also.